You spend too much time trying to convince people that you matter. Every extra explanation, every instant reply, every desperate attempt to prove your worth screams the same message. You don't believe you have value unless someone else confirms it. People sense this long before you speak. They don't read your words, they read your behavior, and behavior never lies. The brutal truth is this: respect is not given to those who chase it. Respect is reserved for those who make themselves difficult to replace. That is the dark psychology of value. Robert Greene understood this better than almost anyone. The powerful rarely demand admiration. They construct themselves in a way that makes admiration almost unavoidable. Scarcity, mystery, self-control, strategic absence. These are not personality traits, they are weapons. Look around your life. Who constantly asks for approval? Who apologizes before expressing an opinion? Who fills every silence with nervous conversation? Those people are rarely hated. They are something much worse. They are ignored. Because human beings are drawn toward what appears valuable, and value is never loud. Diamonds do not advertise themselves. Water is everywhere, so people waste it. Diamonds are scarce, so people lock them in vaults. The lesson has nothing to do with jewelry. It has everything to do with you. If you continue offering unlimited access to your attention, your emotions, your time, and your energy, people will consume you exactly the way they consume water from a tap, without gratitude, without hesitation, without fear of losing you. That changes today. The first prison you must escape is the prison of availability. You answer every message within seconds because you fear they might lose interest. You rearrange your schedule because someone else suddenly remembered you exist. You become the emergency contact for people who disappear the moment their lives improve. Then you wonder why no one respects your boundaries. This is not kindness. This is dependence disguised as generosity. Robert Greene's Law 16 echoes in the background here. Use absence to increase respect and honor. Most people misunderstand this law. They think it means disappearing to manipulate others. That is amateur thinking. True absence is not a game. It is the natural consequence of building a life so meaningful that constant availability becomes impossible. Consider the luxury brand with a waiting list. Imagine if tomorrow every exclusive watch, every designer bag, every limited edition car became available on every street corner. What would happen? The quality might remain identical, but the perceived value would collapse overnight. Scarcity creates desire because the human mind equates rarity with importance. You have become the discount version of yourself. Always on sale, always available, always waiting for someone else's call. Stop it. The next time someone expects an immediate response, let time do part of the talking. Respond because it fits your priorities, not because anxiety demands it. Instead of thinking, I hope they don't think I'm ignoring them, think, my life deserves my attention first. That single shift changes everything. People begin adjusting to your rhythm instead of expecting you to adjust to theirs. Now consider another habit that silently destroys your value. Explaining yourself. You explain why you were busy. You explain why you couldn't attend. You explain your decisions as if everyone around you sits on a jury deciding whether you deserve permission to exist. Why? Because somewhere deep inside, you believe your choices require approval. Powerful people rarely over-explain. Not because they are rude, but because confidence does not seek permission. Greene's Law 4, always say less than necessary, is not about being mysterious for the sake of appearances. It is about understanding that every unnecessary explanation gives another person material to question, negotiate, or manipulate. Imagine a mountain. Does the mountain justify why it stands where it stands? Does the ocean apologize when it creates waves? Nature never explains itself. It simply exists with certainty. Become more like the mountain. When someone asks why you cannot attend something, replace the nervous paragraph with a calm sentence. I won't be able to make it. Then stop talking. Notice the silence that follows. At first, it will feel uncomfortable because your old identity depends on filling empty space. Resist the urge. Silence is not weakness. Silence forces other people to project their own assumptions, and surprisingly often, those assumptions work in your favor. Let's talk about emotional control, because this is where most people lose every ounce of respect they have earned. The average person reacts. The powerful person responds. There is an enormous difference. Someone insults you online. You spend 3 hours writing paragraphs defending yourself. Someone ignores your message. Your mind invents 20 different stories. Someone criticizes your work. You immediately become defensive. Congratulations. They now control your emotional weather. Greene repeatedly returns to this principle throughout his work. The person who controls your emotions controls your decisions. And once your decisions are controlled, your freedom disappears. Think about predators. A wolf chasing prey never wastes energy barking at every animal in the forest. It focuses, it conserves. It attacks only when the moment offers the greatest advantage. Humans often do the opposite. They react to every comment, every insult, every opinion, every slight. They bleed emotional energy until they have nothing left for building their own future. Ask yourself, who makes you angry? Who can ruin your entire day with one sentence? Who lives rent-free inside your mind? Those people possess power you handed to them voluntarily. Take it back. The next time someone tries to provoke you, imagine they are throwing hooks into the ocean. If the ocean grabbed every hook, it would empty itself. Instead, it remains vast, indifferent, impossible to capture. Become the ocean. Someone insults you, pause, look at them, smile if appropriate, then continue with your day. Nothing unsettles manipulators more than discovering they cannot access your emotions anymore. This brings us to one of the ugliest truths you will ever hear. Niceness is often just a disguise for cowardice. That sentence hurts because most people built their identity around being the nice one. But ask yourself an uncomfortable question. Do you help because you genuinely choose to? Or do you help because you are terrified people will dislike you if you refuse? Those are completely different motivations. Machiavelli warned that being loved without strength creates vulnerability. Greene echoes the same reality through many of his laws. If your kindness is born from fear, it is not kindness at all. It is surrender. You become what some people cruelly call an emotional tampon, always absorbing everyone else's problems, always available to comfort, rarely remembered once the crisis is over. Break that pattern. The next time someone asks for something that costs you peace, stop answering automatically. Instead say, "Let me think about it." Those 5 words are powerful because they interrupt lifelong conditioning. They remind both you and the other person that your time is valuable enough to require consideration. Notice what happens next. Some people will become impatient. Some will become angry. Some will disappear entirely. Good. They were never respecting you. They were only enjoying unrestricted access to you. And that realization leads to something even darker. Not everyone in your life wants you to become valuable. That sounds cynical until you begin paying attention. Some people encourage your growth. Others quietly benefit from your weakness. They smile when you remain predictable. They celebrate your generosity as long as it requires self-sacrifice. They praise you for always being there, because your availability makes their lives easier. The moment you begin protecting your time, they accuse you of changing. Of course you've changed. That is the entire point. Robert Greene's Law 33 tells you to discover each man's thumbscrew. Most people hear that and immediately think about manipulating others. But first, ask yourself a more important question. What is your own thumbscrew? What predictable emotional trigger allows people to steer your behavior? Do they know guilt works on you? Do they know you cannot tolerate silence? Do they know you fear disappointing people? Do they know you confuse conflict with rejection? Then they do not need chains to control you. They simply pull the right emotional lever. This is why mastering yourself comes before mastering anyone else. Imagine a fortress with magnificent walls, but a gate that never closes. It doesn't matter how strong the stone is. Every enemy will enter through the open gate. Your emotions are that gate. Every unresolved insecurity becomes an entrance for manipulation. Close the gate. When someone says, "I thought you cared," recognize the tactic before reacting. When someone says, "You've changed," ask yourself whether they're mourning your absence or mourning the loss of control. When someone tries to rush your decision, slow down even more. Pressure is often the language of manipulation. Let's discuss another brutal truth that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The need to be liked is the currency of the slave. Ride that again in your mind. The need to be liked is the currency of the slave. If your identity depends on universal approval, then every stranger becomes your master. Every criticism becomes a command. Every disagreement becomes a personal crisis. Freedom begins the moment you accept that respect and approval are not the same thing. The strongest leaders in history were rarely loved by everyone. They couldn't be. Clear boundaries inevitably disappoint those who benefited from having none. Think about a lone wolf. It does not beg the herd for acceptance. It survives because it knows exactly what it is. The herd mistakes numbers for strength. The wolf understands that identity creates strength. Stop counting how many people approve of you. Start measuring how consistently you approve of your own standards. This brings us to one of Robert Greene's most misunderstood ideas: reputation. Your reputation is not built by announcing your qualities. It is built by making people experience them. Anyone can claim confidence. Anyone can post quotes about discipline. Anyone can describe themselves as high value. Words are cheap because everyone owns them. Behavior is expensive because very few people are willing to pay the price. You do not build a reputation for strength by saying you're strong. You build it by remaining calm while everyone else loses control. You build it by keeping promises no one is watching you keep. You build it by refusing opportunities that violate your standards, even when nobody would have discovered the compromise. Reputation grows in silence. Imagine two trees. One grows quickly after every rainfall, thin, fragile, easily broken by the first storm. The other grows slowly, year after year. Its roots disappear deep beneath the earth where nobody applauds them. For a long time, it appears unimpressive. Then the storm arrives. Which tree survives? Most people spend their lives decorating branches. The powerful spend their lives strengthening roots. Now let's talk about mystery. Modern culture encourages constant exposure. Share every thought, post every achievement, reveal every plan, announce every goal before you've even begun. Then people wonder why their ambitions lose momentum. Greene's Law 3 warns you to conceal your intentions. Not because secrecy is fashionable, but because exposed plans attract unnecessary resistance. Envy and interference. A seed grows underground. Imagine if every hour someone dug it up to check whether it was becoming a tree. It would never survive. Your ambitions are no different. Protect them during their fragile stages. You do not owe the world a progress report. Let your results introduce themselves. Notice how the most formidable people often reveal very little. Conversations leave you curious rather than informed. They answer without volunteering. They listen more than they speak. Their silence creates gravity. People cannot obsess over what they already fully possess. Mystery invites attention. Overexposure destroys it. This brings us to the most uncomfortable battlefield of all: your relationship with loneliness. Many people remain weak because solitude terrifies them. They would rather tolerate disrespect than eat dinner alone. They would rather remain in one-sided friendships than risk temporary isolation. They would rather chase attention than develop themselves. But Greene's writings on mastery return again and again to a simple truth. Greatness demands long seasons where external validation disappears. The craftsman works alone. The strategist studies alone. The master practices while the crowd entertains itself. Loneliness becomes suffering only when you believe your value depends on being constantly witnessed. Champion that belief. Think of the ocean once more. It does not become smaller because no one is looking at it. It remains immense whether crowds gather on the shore or not. Become like that. Learn to enjoy your own company until your presence becomes a choice rather than a necessity for others. Because the strange paradox of human psychology is this: the less desperately you need attention, the more naturally it comes. The less desperately you chase respect, the more difficult you become to ignore. And the day people realize you can walk away without bitterness, without begging, without drama, is the day many of them begin seeing you differently. Not because you changed their minds with arguments, because you changed your value through your actions. That is where the final transformation begins. Most people think power is something you acquire. A better job, more money, higher status, a larger audience, influence. Those things can amplify power, but they cannot create it. If your mind remains dependent on external validation, success simply gives your insecurities a larger stage. The wealthy man desperate for approval is still a prisoner. The famous woman terrified of criticism is still controlled. Their cages are made of gold instead of iron, but they are cages all the same. Robert Greene's mastery points toward a different path. Real power is internal before it is external. It begins when your identity is no longer negotiated with the opinions of strangers. Ask yourself one final series of questions. Do you panic when someone leaves your life? Do you immediately lower your standards because you're afraid of being alone? Do you chase people who have already shown you they don't value your presence? Do you keep explaining your worth to those determined not to see it? If the answer is yes, then the battle has never been against other people. It has always been against yourself, because every person who disrespected you first encountered a version of you that tolerated it. Read that sentence carefully. Every person who consistently disrespected you first encountered a version of you that tolerated it. Respect is not taught through speeches. It is taught through consequences. The moment someone realizes that crossing your boundaries costs them access to you, they begin recalculating their behavior. Not everyone will stay good. Not everyone deserves to. This is where most people hesitate. They think setting standards means becoming cold, arrogant, or cruel. No, there is a profound difference between confidence and contempt. Confidence does not need to humiliate others. Confidence simply refuses to humiliate itself. You don't become ruthless by attacking everyone around you. You become selective. Selective with your time. Selective with your words. Selective with your energy. Selective with your loyalty. Imagine standing in the middle of a violent storm. The trees bend wildly. Loose branches snap. Debris flies in every direction. But there is a massive rock planted deep into the earth. The wind screams, the rain crashes against it, the storm throws everything it has. The rock doesn't argue with the storm. It doesn't chase the wind. It doesn't demand respect from the rain. It simply remains exactly where it belongs. Become that rock. When people gossip, remain grounded. When they provoke, remain measured. When they disappear, remain complete. When they return only because your absence finally made them appreciate your value. Don't rush to reopen doors they chose to close. Remember the lesson of the luxury brand. Not everyone who can afford it gains access. Standards create value. This is why Greene repeatedly reminds you to think in terms of long-term positioning rather than short-term emotion. Every impulsive reaction mortgages your future for a few seconds of satisfaction. Every disciplined decision compounds into a reputation that speaks before you ever enter the room. People begin to notice something they cannot quite explain. Your presence feels different. You no longer seek the spotlight, yet attention naturally moves toward you. You no longer argue to prove your intelligence, yet your words carry more weight because they are fewer. You no longer fear silence, so silence becomes one of your greatest allies. You no longer chase relationships, so the relationships that remain become stronger. You no longer negotiate your principles, so people learn that your boundaries are real. That is the dark psychology of value. People respect what they cannot easily manipulate. They pursue what they cannot casually possess. They remember what refuses to become ordinary. Never forget the metaphor of the diamond and the water. Water is essential for life, yet because it is abundant, people spill it without thinking. A diamond cannot keep you alive for a single day, yet people protect it with armed guards. Human psychology has always confused rarity with value. Do not become emotionally cheap. Do not distribute your attention to everyone who demands it. Do not hand your loyalty to those who have never earned it. Do not reveal every thought. Do not react to every insult. Do not explain every decision. Protect your peace as if it were your greatest asset, because it is. The old version of you believed love had to be earned through sacrifice. The new version understands that genuine respect begins with self-respect. The old version feared rejection. The new version fears abandoning its own standards. The old version measured success by how many people stayed. The new version measures success by the quality of the people who remain. You are not learning tricks. You are not memorizing tactics. You are shedding the dead skin of your old identity. The person who begged for attention. The person who apologized for existing. The person who confused availability with loyalty and approval with respect. That version of you served its purpose, but it cannot lead you where you are going. From this moment forward, let your actions speak before your words. Let your discipline become your reputation. Let your silence become your confidence. Let your absence reveal your worth. And let your standards become the invisible line that only the right people are willing to cross with respect. Now, ask yourself one question and answer it honestly. What is the one habit that has been making you emotionally cheap? Write it in the comments. Put it into words, because what is named can be changed. And if you're committed to mastering the laws of power, human nature, and disciplined self-mastery, subscribe and continue the journey. The transformation doesn't begin when the world finally respects you. It begins the moment you become someone who refuses to settle for anything less.